Good afternoon and welcome to day number 2 of the USF New Year's Classic. Terry Bonadonna with you here for the call of today's matchup between Thomas More University and Roosevelt University. Each of these teams playing for the second time in as many days. Thomas More yesterday took care of business against the host St. Francis in the early game. It was a scare, but they were able to evade an upset defeat, beating the Fighting Saints 70-68. Roosevelt, on the other hand, came in riding pretty high. They had won 9 of their last 10 games, but they were blown out by Madonna in a game that was close for the first 15, 16 minutes, and then Madonna ran away with it in the end. They pulled away in the second half. So Roosevelt's trying to bounce back. Thomas More's trying to head back to Kentucky with back-to-back victories. The second-ranked team in the nation had lost 2 in a row prior to their current 2-game winning streak, but their last 2 wins have come by a combined total of just 5 points, one of them in overtime. So it has not been easy sledding for Thomas More. We'll see if they can pick things back up today against a hungry Roosevelt team trying to get back on the winning track after the tough one yesterday, and the Lakers win the opening tip. Roosevelt going from left to right and wearing black in today's game. Thomas More is in silver. They'll be going from right to left here in the first half. Starting lineup for Roosevelt features guards Matt Myers and Julio Montez, Shane Stevenson, Ayo Ajiboye, and Yuri Swinford are the starting forwards. This is Myers inside, turnaround jumper from just inside the free throw line, hits the back iron and clangs into the hands of Thomas More, getting their first possession of the game. This is Reed Jolly, one of the 2 starting forwards for Thomas More, along with Noah Pack. And that's Jolly getting fouled inside and heading to the free throw line. The guards for the Saints are Wyatt Veith, Jacob Jones, and Casey George. Justin Ray is in his 12th season as head coach at Thomas More. Led the team within 2 wins of the national championship a year ago, and had them as the preseason #1 team in the country this year. First free throw from Jolly is good. Reed Jolly came off the bench yesterday, still led the team with 22 points scored. He's back in the starting lineup for this one. Second shot good from Jolly. Thomas More leads it 2-0. Free throws were a big problem for the Saints in yesterday's win, nearly cost them that victory, but they're off to a good start today in that regard, as Myers' pass is stolen by his fellow number 20, Casey George. 2 possessions on defense, 2 stops for Thomas More so far today. Noah Pack gives it up to Jolly. Jolly fires inside for Pack. It's deflected, and Shane Stevenson picks up the loose ball. A steal for Roosevelt. Here's Stevenson dribbling in from the left side. Stevenson down low, puts up a shot and misses it. Rebound to Thomas More. Jones gives it to Jolly, and now Wyatt Veith sets up the offense. Veith had the big game yesterday shooting the basketball from the outside. Tries again here and knocks it down. In 2 games in this holiday event, Wyatt Veith is now 7 of 10 from 3-point range. He came into yesterday's game shooting just 32% on 3 balls this season. But boy, has he been sharp from the outside these last 2 days. Here's Yuri Swinford spinning inside, kicking it out to Myers. Shot clock at 10. Swinford down to Myers in the corner. At the elbow, Myers picks up his dribble, just 3 seconds to shoot. Julio Montes jacks up a three and misses it. Rebound grabbed by Jacob Jones. Thomas Moore's defense stifling again to start things out today. Jones drives and kicks into the corner. Good ball movement for the Saints. Good defense from Roosevelt. Jolly down low, backing in on Swinford. Bounces underneath the basket to George. George, tough positioning, but he's able to bank it home over Matt Myers. Well done by Casey George, and D. Brown wants a timeout. The rookie head coach of the Lakers whistles for his guys to come over to the bench as Thomas More has jumped out to a 7-0 lead to start this one. Great start for the second-ranked Saints, who have been through a bit of a rough patch lately, and it's tough to call a 2-2 stretch a rough patch, especially as they have won the last 2 games, but they started the season 9-0. They lost by 30 points to Freed Hardeman a couple of weeks ago at Freed Hardeman. And they're trying to regain their early season dominance. So far so good in this one, but remember they started similarly yesterday. They had a 17-point lead in the first half on St. Francis, and in fact had held St. Francis to under 10 points through the first 13 minutes of the game. And then all of a sudden the Fighting Saints went off. But Thomas Moore's defense to start the game, much like yesterday, has been outstanding. So far in this one, we're just 2.5 minutes in, but Roosevelt has not had a single clean look thus far. Good start on the offensive end for Thomas Moore as well. Jolly knocked down a couple of free throws. Wyatt Veith hit the three-pointer, and Casey George made a good move underneath the basket. Wyatt Veith's outside shooting has been one of the stories the last 2 days. 6 of 9 from three-point range yesterday afternoon. Same 5 on the floor for Roosevelt coming out of the timeout. Shane Stevenson will be the inbounder. He had a big game for the Lakers yesterday in the losing effort. Here's Julio Montes, the impressive freshman point guard, going headbandless today. Matt Myers dribbles it outside, hands it off to Montes. Now at the free throw line, it's Stevenson. Stevenson takes it in on Veith, stripped from behind by Jones. Here comes Jacob Jones, 2-on-2, gives it back to Casey George, who spins into traffic. Now 3 defenders around him. George hangs onto the ball, passes outside, and we've got a whistle and a timeout called by Thomas Moore. Just 25 seconds since our last timeout. This one more of a desperation stoppage. That possession was going nowhere for the Saints, so they decided to call for time and talk it over on the sideline before resetting. Tough start for Roosevelt offensively. Didn't get any better coming out of the timeout as they turned it over. A good strip and steal for the sophomore Jacob Jones, who transferred from Green Bay. Division I school out of the Horizon League. Jones will be the inbounder as we resume play out of the timeout. 24 on the shot clock. Into Noah Pack, he loses it, gets it back. Into the corner, Jones, open three, short. And he grabs his own rebound. Throws the ball up for grabs, it's chased down by Noah Pack. Thomas Moore resets, the shot clock is at 12. This is Veith, bouncing once and passing to Casey George. George, good move around Myers, step back from the free throw line, misses the jumper, and the rebound grabbed by Ajiboye. Jacob Jones is called for the foul. As he came flying in, jumped on the back of Ayo Ajiboye. We've got our first substitute of the game, Chima Nwosu, comes in for Yuri Swinford. Swinford is Roosevelt's leading scorer this season. Off to a tough start today, but so is the rest of the team. Nobody is leading the team in scoring yet in this game. D. Brown did not use his bench much yesterday. We'll see if the plan changes today with the second of a back-to-back. Montes, step back for three. Too strong, and the rebound grabbed by Reed Jolly. George bounces once, passes to Noah Pack. Out to the left wing, it's Casey George working his way to the top of the key. Good ball movement. Saints have Noah Pack going one-on-one inside with Ajiboye, up with a right hand and in. That's one guy who did not get going yesterday for Thomas More in their victory. Noah Pack was just 1 of 6 from the field, but he converts on his first attempt of today's game. Myers crosses over. We've got a foul and a moving screen called against Roosevelt. So Thomas More has the ball back, leading 9-0. Down low, this is Pack. Up top, looking for Veith, off his hands, chased down by Montez. Montez with the steal on the other end, the layup, bounces around and does not fall. Myers falls on top of the rebound, and now we've got a tussle for it and a tie-up. Possession arrow faces the other way. So nearly 5 minutes into the game now, Roosevelt still looking for their first points. That was their best opportunity. Off the Julio Montez steal. Good anticipation by Montez there, but not able to finish on the other end. Jacob Jones sets up the offense for Thomas More. Reed Jolly inside, blocked by Nwosu. The defense for Roosevelt's playing well. Well, they'll try to get the offense rolling for the first time. Very similar start to the 1 o'clock game today as we saw yesterday. Shane Stevenson, open three, no good. Good look that time. That was one of the only good looks Roosevelt's gotten out of the half-court game so far this afternoon, but it did not pay off. Jones's pass deflected and knocked out of bounds by Matt Myers. It'll stay with the Saints as they inbound into the backcourt. 18 still to shoot. Swinford back on the floor for Roosevelt. Thomas More is still riding with their starters. Kick into the corner. It's a fake from Veith. Veith on the runner, off the glass. Offensive foul. Shot didn't go, but it won't count against his field goal percentage. It is an offensive foul and a turnover committed by Thomas More. And again, Roosevelt's defense stays strong. Thomas More, I know I keep saying it, but they look so similar to yesterday. Dominant on the defensive end, but not able to pull away early on because the opposing defense has been pretty sharp. Nwosu, handoff to Montez. Julio Montez looks inside. Backs it up around the screen, down to the corner, 6 to shoot. Blocked by Reed Jolly, picked up by Yuri Swinford. Swinford with the clock running down, comes up short on the runner, and the rebound goes to Wyatt Veith. Jones takes it the other way, off to his right, Casey George, and the Saints slow it down. Jared Borer on the defense for Roosevelt. Came on early today, George for 3, on the money. And Thomas More's lead is 12-0. Their first points in the last couple of minutes. We had been sitting on 9-0 for a while. Here's Borer, played sparingly yesterday afternoon, only when the game was out of hand. He comes off the bench early today. Montez's pass deflected, grabbed out of the air by Ajiboye, 8 on the shot clock. Borer's got to make his move. Around a screen from Nwosu, passes off to Chima Nwosu inside, going up over Noah Pack. Doesn't get the bounce. Rebound fought for and tipped to Reed Jolly. Roosevelt is still scoreless. And Thomas More has not been setting the world on fire offensively, but slowly they are starting to pull away. Big defensive possession for Roosevelt here. Reed Jolly from the baseline. No good on the jumper. Noah Pack is fouled, coming down with the rebound. It'll be an out-of-bounds play for Thomas More. It's just the 3rd foul on Roosevelt. It's called on Chima Nwosu. Nwosu's 2nd foul. That brings Lucas Jordan off the bench. Wyatt Veith for 3. Stays hot. Wyatt Veith has 8 3-pointers in the last 2 days, and Thomas Moore's got its lead up to 15 points. Roosevelt searching for answers on offense. Borer. Inside, Ajiboye going against Noah Pack. Tries to bank it in, and it's deflected out of bounds. Last touched by Ajiboye. Kyle Ross comes off the bench for the Saints. Joined by Scotty Dowd. First time today that Justin Ray has gone to his bench. Starters played a very impressive 8 minutes. George dribbles into the left side. George layup, no. Well defended by Montez, picked up by Ajiboye. Here comes Borer, out to Swinford. Swinford takes it inside, and he's hit on the floor. Foul called on Thomas More. Yesterday against Thomas More, St. Francis started the game 4 of 21 from the field. They went on to make their last 7 shots consecutively in the half. Drive from Swinford, layup is good. And after 8 minutes and 18 seconds, Roosevelt finally scores. It's Yuri Swinford, who is their leading scorer this season at 15 points per game. Roosevelt is within 13. George takes it into the right side. George is blocked by Montez. Montez is called for the foul. Two free throws coming up from George, who had a big problem shooting from the line yesterday. Thomas More yesterday as a team shot just 43% from the line. George missed 3 of his 6. And on the season is just over 50%. He makes the first here. Two of 2 this time. Thomas Moore's back ahead by 15. There's Jared Borer across half court. Passing back to Montez, down to the corner. Jordan for 3. Got it. Lucas Jordan, a big outside shot for Roosevelt. The guy who struggled with his shot yesterday. Lucas Jordan makes the first 3-pointer of this game for Roosevelt. Roosevelt's bench trying to get into it now. Looking to force a stop as Kyle Ross steps into a 3. Off the back rim, and a long rebound goes out to Wyatt Veith. Another chance for the Saints. It's Jolly working against Swinford. Off to his left. Shot clock at 7. George off balance shot. Rolls around and in. Well played by Casey George, who's having a nice first half. Just about at the midway point of the first half. It's a 14-point lead for Thomas More. Here's Swinford. Out to Montez. Montez fakes the 3. Steps inside, bounces to Ajiboye, off his hands and out of bounds. Jolly checks out along with George for Thomas More. Jacob Jones is back in. Noah Pack for 3. Good. Derek Eddings is getting his first action this week for Thomas More. Eddings on the defense right now as Jared Borer passes off to Lucas Jordan. Here's Borer working his way inside. Back out to Stevenson. Montez for 3, a good 3 for Julio Montez. after going more than 8 minutes without scoring. Roosevelt's got 8 points in the last 3.5 minutes, so they're starting to find their rhythm on offense. Now looking for a few stops to make this one close. Jones drives, kicks into the corner. Eddings stepped down the line. Derek Eddings, the redshirt freshman, turns it over. Eddings had appeared in every game this year prior to yesterday. Comes off the bench late in the first half in this one. Borer for three. Good. Roosevelt's heating up from the outside. Jordan, Montez, and now Borer have all hit threes. Thomas Moore's lead of 15 is down to 11. Remember, they led by 17 in the first half yesterday before St. Francis came back and tied it up before the end of the first half. Drive from Jones, blocked by Swinford. Eddings picks up the loose ball. Pack inside. Out to Eddings, three-pointer. A high arcer misses short. And a loose ball foul is called on Kyle Ross. D. Brown's getting fired up on the Roosevelt bench. The Lakers are trying to fight their way back into this thing. Myers checks in. Montez grabs a seat on the bench for the first time today. And Matt Myers sets up the offense. Swinford turns to face the basket out to Stevenson. Stevenson carries it inside, runs into trouble, and throws it away. Ross deflects it and keeps it himself in bounds. Nice play by Kyle Ross. Here's Jones, wide open three. No good. Rebound Swinford. Myers quickly on the other end. Shovels it off down low to Stevenson, who floats it up and misses. Well defended by Eddings. And now a man down. Myers a little bit slow to get up after he was hit on the other end. Underneath the basket there. So a whistle to stop play just to make sure he's all right, which he appears to be. And it'll stay with Thomas More. They'll reset things from the sideline. The lead is still 11 for Thomas More, so they haven't faded much here. But this whole first half so far has felt very familiar to anybody who watched Thomas More play yesterday against St. Francis. Dominant defensive start. They brought the subs in, and the other team went on a little bit of a run. But we'll see if Thomas More can keep it going for themselves. They shot the ball well all throughout yesterday's game. Not shooting at quite as high a percentage today as Jones scores and a foul. A basket counts. Big play for Jacob Jones and a chance to make it a three-pointer. Jared Borer is called for his first foul. And this free throw to make it a 14-point game misses. So it's a 13-point Thomas More edge as Myers cuts inside, gives it up to Stevenson. Stevenson scores and he's fouled. Shane Stevenson gets himself to the line. And we'll see if he can do what Jones was not able to do on the other end, which is make it a three-point play. Both teams have committed 5 fouls now, so one to give before the bonus for each side. Stevenson's free throw misses. 24-13 remains our score. Jones across half court. Jacob Jones walks it to the right, passes up top Ross. Here's Eddings on the left wing. Ross in the post, and we've got an offensive foul. Kyle Ross hooked Yuri Swinford with the arm. And there's foul number 6 on Thomas More, and that gets Reed Jolly off the bench. As Ross picks up his second foul, Jolly comes back in. Short rest for Julio Montez. He's back out there. He's played all but a minute of the game so far. Montez, the point guard for Roosevelt, passes off to Myers on his right. Myers drives, dishes to the cutting Swinford, and his basket doesn't count. Offensive foul called on Myers. Matt Myers called for the charge on his pass. And so both teams turn it over on offensive fouls. Wet spot on the floor, mopped up here, 6:51 to play. First half, Thomas More has led all the way. In fact, they were up 15-0 before Roosevelt finally got their first points. Lakers have held their own since then, but have not been able to get it to within single digits. Outside Jones. Jacob Jones drives, pulls up, nearly traveled, and as the ball is knocked away from him, a foul is called with 3 on the shot clock. With that clock running down, Roosevelt was maybe a little too aggressive on defense. And it leads to a 1-and-1 for Jacob Jones. Jones is 0 for 1 from the line so far today. 75% shooter for the season. He misses the front end. So much like yesterday, free throws, a problem for Thomas More. Here's Montez into the corner for Jordan. At the free throw line, Swinford works his way inside and bounces it off his foot out of bounds. Turnovers are becoming an issue for Roosevelt. The last several trips down the floor, it's tough to make a comeback when you're not even getting shots off. Jones across the timeline, slows it down as Roosevelt's defense backs up. Here's Eddings over to George. Down to Reed Jolly, nice pass from Jolly to the cutting Noah Pack, and Pack lays it in. Stevenson gives it to Swinford. Swinford scores underneath. Contact there, no foul called. Jolly thought he had done enough to take the charge. But no whistle came. And so it's an 11-point game again. We've been hovering around this spot for the last several minutes. It has felt like an 11-point game consistently for the last 5-6 minutes in this game. It's good news for Thomas More in that they've got the double-digit lead. Good news for Roosevelt in that they're not allowing the Saints to pull away, not yet at least. Remember yesterday it was in the second half that Roosevelt saw Madonna stretch what had been a very narrow lead into a blowout. Here's Jolly. Jolly is bumped down the floor. That is the 8th foul on Roosevelt. So Reed Jolly is going to go to the free throw line. He'll get an opportunity for 1-and-1 here. Reed Jolly is the best free throw shooter on the team, around 80%. 2 of 2 today. But he misses the front end again. Free throws continue to be a huge problem for the Saints. Myers inside off the backboard, no good. Noah Pack skies high for the rebound. Jacob Jones, jumper, good over Julio Montez. Montez takes his time, drives to the right. Montez inside, off balance shot, and he throws it in. Impressive lay-in for Julio Montez, who seemed like he got kind of stuck down low and had no choice but to throw the ball at the rim. It rolled in for him after a good drive. Casey George works his way inside, under control the whole way. George lays it in. Montez jump stop inside, another off-balance shot for Montez, and this time he gets himself to the free throw line. Julio Montez very rarely misses from the line, only thrice this season. He's 33 of 36. And he's got 2 shots coming his way. First shot from Montez is good. Jadon Coles comes in for the first time for Thomas More as Jacob Jones hits the bench. Justin Ray has been a little more active with the substitutes today than he was yesterday afternoon. Montez makes just 1 of 2 this time, just his 4th miss this season. And the lead for the Saints is not 11 for once, it's 12. 4 minutes to play in the first half. Around the perimeter, they get it into Jolly. Jolly steps around Stevenson and lays it in. Nice drive by Reed Jolly. Roosevelt looking for the response. Montez gives it up outside. It's Myers. Around the screen from Adjaboye. Myers works his way to the rim and draws the foul. Not a lot of fouls early in this game, but we've seen the whistle blow a lot more frequently of late. Two shots for Myers, as both teams have now committed 8 fouls. First one goes for him. One more for Myers. And he's got them both. 32-20. Thomas More leads Roosevelt. Late in the first half, Thomas More is trying to pull away. Roosevelt's trying to make this one a game at the break. An air ball on the three-point attempt from Casey George. And we're taking it the other way here. Yuri Swinford spins down low. Swinford is fouled. Roosevelt's making some hay from the free throw line. I've talked about it a lot, but Thomas Moore's foul shooting has been their Achilles heel. It left the door open yesterday for St. Francis to make the comeback, and the Fighting Saints ended up falling 2 points short. And now it's leaving the door open for Roosevelt, though we're still in the first half here in this one. The Saints are just 2 of 5 from the line so far today, and 2 of those misses were the front end of 1-and-1s. So essentially 2 misses and 1. Roosevelt has only missed once from the line today as Swinford makes them both. It's a 10-point game. Big possession for Thomas More as they try to keep this lead over 10. Riley Hobner passes it off to the left, and now it's out to Casey George. George's jumper is good off a nice fake. Big shot for Casey George at a time where the Saints needed some points on the board. Montez penetrates. Nice fake inside, banks it in. Beautifully done by Julio Montez, getting Reed Jolly in the air. Jolly's got a good height mismatch on Montez. About 7 inches taller than him. He probably didn't need to jump in the air on that. As Casey George fires the 3 and hits. Casey George is heating up, and he is keeping Thomas More well ahead of Roosevelt here. Montez is doing his best to reciprocate. Julio Montez with a nice layup off the drive. All of a sudden, it's becoming an offensive showcase here. Just over 2 minutes to play in the half. This is Hobner to the free throw line, and Jolly Reed Jolly passes it back. It's Coles. Here's Jolly. Jolly, step back, short. Rebound grab by Ajiboye. Roosevelt can cut the deficit to under 10 on this possession. And they'll apparently get a chance to do so from the free throw line. A foul is called off the ball, and a timeout is called. Casey George whistled for the foul. Timeout, Thomas More. It's a full timeout with 1:48 to play in the first half. Thomas More 37, Roosevelt 26. The Saints jumped out to a 15-0 lead in this game. It took Roosevelt over 8 minutes to get their first points on the board, and it seemed like Thomas More was going to pull away, but Roosevelt has weathered the storm, and they've come back nicely. Since that 15-0 start, Roosevelt has outscored Thomas More 26-22. And when we come out of this timeout, they'll have 2 free throw attempts, as Thomas More just picked up their 10th foul of the half. Yesterday, Thomas More led by 17 in the first half. It was 25-8 at one point. That was their biggest lead. And then St. Francis made their run. Fighting Saints came back to tie it. It was 32-32 at halftime. St. Francis then went on to actually lead by 5 points at one point in the second half before Thomas More put them away and won that one 70-68. So far, it's been more of the same for Thomas More. Great start. Haven't been able to maintain it throughout the entire first half, but the Saints still do have a pretty healthy lead here. Credit to the Lakers, though. This game could very easily have been over by halftime, and it certainly doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They've put themselves in position to cut the deficit under 10. And worst case scenario, they should still be in shouting distance by halftime. 2 free throws coming up here for Ayo Ajiboye. I've talked a lot about free throws already in this game. They've been a pretty major storyline. Ajiboye is not a good foul shooter, just 53% this year. First shot here rattles home. So it's a 10-point game. This would make it 9, which is as close as Roosevelt has been since 9-0. And it is 37-28 now as the Lakers put on a light full court press. Looking to trap. Casey George passes off to Noah Pack. Deflected away by Jordan, and he can't quite save it. But Roosevelt nearly came away with the steal. And they have certainly been the more aggressive team here over the last several minutes. Timeout called by Thomas More. Justin Ray wants to talk over this full court press now that Roosevelt has already almost forced a steal once. Thomas More wants to reset things a little bit as they had just 3 seconds to get it across half court. It's been a good first half. A lot of twists and turns, and an unexpected turn here in that the Lakers are hanging in there with the Saints, who started the season 9-0, lost 2 in a row. They've bounced back and won back-to-back nail-biters. Today they try to make it 3 consecutive victories. Looked like they were on their way early on, but Roosevelt has not allowed them to pull away. 100 seconds left on the first half clock. And so the question for the Lakers is, can they keep themselves in it before halftime? Timeout called by the Lakers now. So both teams call a timeout. A lot of first half timeouts used in this game, more than you'd usually see. Of course, at the NAI level, you still get 6 per game. So plenty of timeouts remaining on the board for both sides here as we get ready for half number 2. Game 1 of a doubleheader today. Always a fun event at St. Francis just before the new year begins. Thomas Moore's playing in the event for the first time this year. Roosevelt, of course, is out here a lot. They played as the visitor against St. Francis earlier this season, a game they won in the final seconds, a 2-point victory, and now playing their third game on Pat Quigley Court this year. They're 1-1 so far. They beat St. Francis earlier this season, then they lost yesterday against Madonna. Ball is inbounded to Casey George, and George gets it across half court. Pack picks up his dribble and gives it to Jolly. 7 on the shot clock for Reed Jolly, who's standing back near half court. Jolly makes his move, pull up from 2-point range, in and out. Rebound, Myers saves it to Julio Montez. Squirted out of Myers' hands, but he did a good job of sticking with it after he lost the ball. He kept it alive for Roosevelt, entering the final minute of play in the first half. Roosevelt's got the momentum here, but Thomas Moore's got the lead. Swinford spins in, lays it in. And it's now just a 7-point game. Here's Jolly. Reed Jolly fires it down low. Hobner all alone. He scores with Swinford committing the foul. Riley Hobner left all alone underneath the basket, and he scores his first points of the week. In fact, in 12 minutes played this year, those are the first points this season for Riley Hobner. And now his first free throw attempt is good. So Hobner extends the lead to 10 with the 3-point play. And now this will likely be Roosevelt's last time with the basketball this half. Montez drives. Montez all the way inside, high off the backboard, no good. Rebound Casey George with the shot clock off. And Justin Ray is calling for George to eat some clock and hold for one shot. George holds it back at half court. Makes his move on Montez and now backs out. 13 seconds to play. Jolly spins towards the basket. 7 seconds. Fade away Jolly. Short. Offensive rebound Coles. He loses it. Out of bounds. Last touch by the Lakers. 2.5 seconds to play in the half. Hobner is the inbounder here. Lobbed in for Pack. Pack's got one shot up with the right hand. No good. And we've reached halftime. Interesting first half. Dominant start for the Saints. The Lakers fought back, and they really made a game of it. Took a 15-point deficit and turned it into 7. But credit to Thomas Moore. They incurred a lot of foul trouble and had guys sitting out down the stretch there, but were able to hold Roosevelt off for the time being. They still lead by 10 with 20 minutes to play. Second half action coming up shortly. For right now, I'll step aside. Thomas Moore ahead of Roosevelt, 40-30 at halftime. Second half starting up here at St. Francis. It's Roosevelt and Thomas More going head-to-head in game one of today's doubleheader. Roosevelt has the ball to start the second half, trailing 40-30. They were down by as many as 17 points in the first half. They trailed 15-0. Fought their way back and made it a 7-point game, but Thomas More scored the last three of the first half. They lead 40-30 behind 16 points from Casey George, who is today's leading scorer. We've got a quick foul called against Thomas More. That was one of the storylines in the first half, fouls galore. Wyatt Veith, Jacob Jones, Derek Eddings, and Kyle Ross all have 2 fouls for Thomas More. And actually, Jacob Jones is called for the first foul of the second half, so that's number 3 on him. And the starting point guard for Thomas More has to go to the bench. Kyle Ross and his 2 fouls come back in. For Roosevelt, Yuri Swinford, Matt Myers, and Chima Nwosu all have 2 fouls as Thomas More comes away with a steal. Here's Wyatt Veith with a nice fake, and Veith not able to finish the rim. Pack is there with the follow. He misses as well. And Ayo Ejiboye comes out of the fray with it. Three-pointer Jordan, no good. Lucas Jordan starting the second half on the floor after he played 10 minutes off the bench in the first half. Casey George inside stripped, falling on top of it, Matt Myers. And George reaches his hand in as well to force the tie-up. It'll stay with Thomas More. Julio Montez led the way for the Lakers in the first half, 10 points on 4 of 9 shooting. Overall field goal percentages, 52 for Thomas More, 44 for Roosevelt. Thomas More has shot better than 50% from the field in every half so far this weekend. Inbounded to Wyatt Veith, corner 3. Air ball, that's a rare miss from him. Veith had been 8 of 11 from three-point range these last 2 days prior to that air ball. Swinford for 3. That's an air ball as well. Well, we saw a lot in the first half of anything you can do, I can do better. One team would score, the other team would score. One team would turn it over, the other team would turn it over. And now here's an airball three-pointer, and the other team pulls it off as well. Downloads Reed Jolly. Jolly backs in on Swinford. Jolly working hard and blocked by Ejiboye. Great defense by Swinford, and Ejiboye came in with the finishing touch. Swinford kicks it out to Montez. Fakes the 3, finds Jordan in the corner, and that's good. Montez had a good look. Jordan had a better one. And so Lucas Jordan gets them within 7. This match is as close as it's been since that 15-0 start for Thomas More. Veith into Kyle Ross. Little push in the back by Matt Myers. That's a 3rd foul on Myers. So now each team has a player with 3 fouls, and we still have 18 minutes to go. Quick stoppage while they wipe off the wet spot on the floor. Shot clock is at 20 for the Saints following the foul. Lobbed into Noah Pack. Over on the right side is Veith. Bounce down low, Casey George. George going one-on-one with Montez. Nice move by George, spinning to the basket. He's got 18 points. George has been spectacular today after he finished with 12 points in yesterday's game. Here's Montez walking off to the left side. He slows it down. Good defense by George. Montez trying to blow by him. Little runner in the lane is good. Julio Montez really struggled to shoot yesterday, but he has stepped up in a big way today. He's been very impressive. 12 points for Montez, the freshman out of Lincoln Park. George spins around Montez, bounces to a wide open Kyle Ross. Corner 3 is good for Ross. Well, Casey George has been so good offensively. He's commanded a little extra attention on defense. And George that time was able to take advantage by finding the open shooter. Here's Montez, step back, pass to Swinford, three-pointer. Swinford misses another one. Rory Swinford 0 of 2 from three-point range in this second half. Thomas Moore's lead is 10 following the Kyle Ross three-pointer. Ross's first points of the game. Now it's George getting by Montez again, and he scores again. This time he's fouled. Roosevelt has had a tough time slowing down Casey George today. So Montez tried to get him to commit the offensive foul, but no call as he hit the ground. George makes the free throw. Thomas Moore has hit 4 consecutive free throws after a 2-for-5 start from the line. Montez for 3, got it. Julio Montez not letting the Lakers go down quietly. 15 points for him. Here's Ross on the right side. And Ross is called for the travel. Took a step before putting the ball on the floor. And again, Roosevelt has a chance to cut the deficit to under 10. Roosevelt hasn't made the big run. They've just been slowly chipping away. There's still a lot of time left in this game, so they don't necessarily need to go on that big 10-0, 12-2 run. Yuri Swinford underneath the basket lays it in. They could keep doing like this and feel like they're in it. If you can keep the deficit between 7 and 12 points, as they've done throughout this half, plenty of time to make a comeback. But Kyle Ross makes the little runner there. That's exactly what we've been seeing. Roosevelt has not let Thomas Moore pull away, but Thomas Moore is not letting Roosevelt make that comeback. A trip there, and Swinford, or rather Ajiboye, goes down. It'll be an inbounds play coming up for Roosevelt. Thomas Moore jumped out to that 15-0 lead. And Roosevelt started to make that little comeback about halfway through the first half as Montez fires the three. This time he misses. Rebound tipped loose into the hands of Lucas Jordan. And Jordan saves it to Ajiboye, who lays it in. For the last 15 minutes or so of game time, it really just has been back and forth. Very little separation between these two teams. Foul called down low on Ajiboye, grabbing at Noah Pack. Third foul on Ajiboye. He and Myers both have 3. Myers stayed in the game after picking up his third. And both men are still out there right now. Jacob Jones is on the bench right now with 3 for the Saints. Jolly for 3. Good. It's been a quiet day for Reed Jolly. He was outstanding yesterday and really has been all season. Prior to that three-pointer, he was just 1 of 6 from the field today. But now he puts his team up by 11. Montez to answer. Got it. Wow, back and forth. Jolly and Montez drain threes. Montez red hot today. George has been red hot today, and he continues that with a three-pointer of his own. George has 24. Timeout called by the Lakers, 56-45. This is not the type of game that Thomas Moore typically plays. You look at some of their winning point totals, 70 in their last game. They scored 84 a couple of weeks ago in the win over Bethel, but that was an overtime game. 66, 70, 72, 74, 61. Those are all point totals in games that they've won. It has not been their offense, it's been their defense that has gotten them to where they are so far this season with their 11-2 record. Defensively, they've been magnificent this year. But today, they're just trading baskets with Roosevelt. They held the Lakers without a point for the first 8+ minutes of the game. Ever since Roosevelt started to heat up offensively, it's just been back and forth. 56-45 right now, and big credit to the Lakers after that really slow start. They've been excellent offensively. They've put up 45 points in the last 18 or so minutes of game time. But Thomas Moore's been just as good. Casey George has led the way. He has been sensational throughout this one. George came in averaging 11 points per game. He's more than doubled that. We've still got a long way to go in this game. Julio Montes has been huge for Roosevelt. Montes is a 14-point per game scorer, and he has well surpassed that one. Montes is just a freshman, and he's been getting better as this season has progressed. Here's Jared Borer. Bounce down low to Shane Stevenson, who we've not seen much of today after he had a big game yesterday afternoon. He tries to bank this one home with the hook shot, but a little bit too hard off the glass. Bounced off the foot of Yuri Swinford and out of bounds. .20 on the shot clock for the Saints. Number 20, Casey George, has the ball. Hand off to Ross. Ross's pass nearly deflected. Down low, Jolly. Step back jumper for Reed Jolly is good. Well, that's a guy Roosevelt doesn't want to see get hot. Reed Jolly starting to find his stroke. He's made his last 2 after missing 5 of his first 6 shots. Myers carries it inside. Myers' floater misses short. Rebound tapped out of bounds off of the team in black. All of a sudden, Thomas More is starting to create separation again. Their biggest lead is 17. Roosevelt's been as close as 7. They've done that several times, but have not been able to fight any closer. To a cutting Noah Pack, wide open layup. Good find by Kyle Ross. And it's back to a 15-point game. Montez, cross to his left. This is Myers, one dribble, back up top. Into the corner, it's Shane Stevenson. Shot clock under 10. Swinford crosses over on the drive. Swinford all the way to the hoop. Swinford reached out those long arms and laid it in. Nice drive by him. George backs up, passes over to Pack on his right. Casey George guarded by Jared Borer. Up to Wyatt Veith. Veith for 3. Hit another one. Wyatt Veith has been unstoppable from the outside. Veith is 3 for 4 from three-point range today, and now 9 of 13 this week. Borer to answer, misses short on the 3, and Veith grabs the rebound. All of a sudden, Thomas More is tightening the clamps, and Roosevelt is struggling to keep up. They need a stop here. This is Casey George taking it into the left side. George spins into the paint, misses off the back rim. And the rebound goes to Myers. Montez spins into Jolly and lays it in. Great drive by Julio Montez right around Reed Jolly. Well, they're down by 14, but Julio Montez has been a big bright spot for Roosevelt in this game. He's got nearly half their points. Ross into Jolly, layup, yes. Slow going in the first half for Jolly, but boy, has he ever turned it around here in the second. been outstanding. Montez crosses over to the right, whips it across court. Borer for three, yes. Roosevelt still hanging around. They've been down by as many as 17. They've gotten it as close as 7. And even though the lead is relatively comfortable right now for Thomas More, Roosevelt has refused to be put away. Jolly fights it up and in again. Thomas More lately, though, just cannot be stopped. Timeout called by Roosevelt. 10:07 to play, 67-52 Thomas More. Roosevelt's playing well offensively. They're just not getting any stops. Thomas More has been doing it from everywhere. Reed Jolly, Casey George, Wyatt Veith has been involved from the outside. And these guys have just been too tough to stop. 67-52 our score right now. First all-time meeting between these two teams. Thomas More out of Northern Kentucky. Roosevelt's out of Northern Illinois. Downtown Chicago. And if they see each other again, it will not be here. Both of these schools will be leaving the NAIA and heading to NCAA Division II in the next few years. So they very well may see each other again, but at a different level of competition. Two programs that are in a very different place right now. Thomas More has been one of the best programs at this level for a while. Justin Ray now in his 12th season as head coach. Roosevelt's been good over the years, but a brand new coaching staff this season, led by rookie head coach Dee Brown, and they've played very well so far this year as Ayo Ejiboye proves with the slam dunk inside. Came into this event this week at 10-4. They're in danger of leaving with back-to-back losses if they don't have a furious comeback in them today. Noah Pack underneath. Pack makes a nice move and scores with the right hand. Montez passes off to Borer on the right side. Borer works against Wyatt Veith. Bounce down low. That's Swinford, who is fouled on the floor. We saw a lot of fouls called in the first half. It has not been as much of an issue here in the second. Just 3 fouls on either team. Montez inbounds it up high to Yuri Swinford. Here's Julio Montez down to the corner. Jordan all alone, and Jordan misses the 3. Jones hands it off to Veith. Veith pull up in the paint, knocks it down. A rare 2-point jumper made by Wyatt Veith. In fact, that is the first one he's made from 2-point range in these 2 games. But he's got 11 points. Swinford. He'll try a 3 of his own, and he knocks it down. Yuri Swinford makes his first from the outside today. He's in double figures, one of the 2 on Roosevelt. Jones, quick response with a layup on the other end. Bounced into Ajiboye. Stripped, but he gets it back and out to Lucas Jordan. Swinford walks it off towards the sideline himself. Yuri Swinford spins around Ross, shovels it off to Ajiboye, who misses with the left hand. An offensive rebound for Swinford. Swinford carries it inside, kicks it out to Borer. Montez thought about the 3, well defended by Veith. Now a pass to a cutting Julio Montez. Shovels it off to Ajaboye, who lays it in this time. Missed on the one-handed dunk a moment ago. This time a little finger roll, and that played a little bit better for him. Just over 7 minutes to play. Ross inside, blocked from behind, and a foul called on Ayo Ajaboye. 14-point game. Thomas Moore's biggest lead came at the 10-minute mark of the first half, so it's been a while. They've not been able to extend that lead, but neither has Roosevelt been able to cut significantly into it. Ross makes the first free throw. And free throw shooting, which was such a problem earlier, has completely gone away. Not a problem at all lately for Thomas More. Chima Nwosu is back in. First time we've seen him in a long time. He played only 4 minutes in the first half because of foul issues. And he's out there for the first time in the second half. D. Brown does not use a deep bench. So to have one of their top subs not on the floor because of foul issues has been a bit of an inconvenience. Myers walks into a three-pointer, misses it, and it's rebounded by Noah Pack. Thomas More slows it down. In good position now with under 7 minutes to play. Trying to salt away their third consecutive win. Ross for three. It's good. And it's now a 19-point game. Thomas More has their largest lead today. Myers out to Borer. Here's Stevenson backing in, up with the right hand. Can't get the roll. Nothing's fallen today for Stevenson. And again, Jacob Jones takes his time marching down across half court. Just barely beat the 10-second clock. Jones drives on Nwosu, and Nwosu picks up the foul. Third foul on Nwosu. Sends Jacob Jones to the foul line, where he's 0 of 2 so far today. First free throw misses off the back iron. He was a 75% foul shooter coming in, but he's missed all 3 of his attempts. So he's dipped down below 70%. He's back up to 70% as he makes that one. 28 for 40 on the season. 20-point game. Myers lobs it over to Stevenson. Myers drives in traffic, picks up his dribble, and has to give it up to Nwosu. Back out to Myers, three-pointer, no good. Rebounded by Kyle Ross, and this time Jacob Jones turns on the jets, gets inside, misses a short-range jumper, thought he was hit. No foul called. Nwosu is down on the other end for Roosevelt. And play is stopped for the injured player. 5:25 to go. Nwosu sitting down underneath the St. France, or rather the Roosevelt basket. And getting a look right now from the training staff. So slight break in the action. 20-point game. Thomas More opened this one with a 15-0 run over the course of 8+ minutes. And it seemed like they might run away and hide in this game. Roosevelt fought back well. They cut the deficit to 7 late in the first half. It was 10 by halftime. And it remained right around that point for a long while. Nwosu is helped up. He walks off the floor on his own. So at least for the moment, he appears to be okay, which is always good news. The Lakers seemed like they were just hanging around waiting to make their run for about 20 minutes of game time. The score bounced between about 7 and 13 points. Never got closer, but never became more lopsided. And then finally, over the last few minutes, Thomas More's offense has just gone crazy. They are not missing anything here in this second half, and they have pulled away now to a 20-point lead. And it has been on the strength of their offense, which is not this team's calling card. They are a team that has thrived on defense over the course of this season. But in the 2 games at St. Francis, they have been exceptional shooting from the outside. Swinford drives, and he's fouled from behind. That foul will be given to Kyle Ross, and free throws will be given to Yuri Swinford. Been a good game for Swinford. He and Julio Montes have done the heavy lifting. In fact, they've done almost all of the lifting in this game. Ayo Ejiboye had a couple of nice plays here in the second half, but mostly it's been the Swinford and Montes show as Yuri Swinford misses the first free throw. That's maybe been the biggest difference offensively, is that Roosevelt has counted on those 2 guys, while Thomas More has really spread it around. Casey George has had an exceptional day for Thomas More, but they've gotten contributions everywhere. Jones harried in the backcourt and throws it up for grabs and out of bounds. Looked like Jones was caught off guard by the defensive intensity of Roosevelt. They have not been pressing consistently. All of a sudden, he's been trying to slow the game down as Roosevelt sped him up. He panicked and threw it away. Montes works his way to the right. Montes working against the much taller Kyle Ross, loses the handle on it. Ball loose on the floor. Montes covers it up like a turtle, and somebody's hand reached in there for the Saints. They called the jump ball. It'll stay with the Lakers with 14 to shoot and 4:47 to play in the game. Substitutions for the Saints. They bring 3 starters back on. Matt Smith, Jadon Coles, and Kyle Ross check out. So all 5 starters are on the floor. Knocked out of bounds off the back of Noah Pack. Montes threw it off of Pack's back, trying to inbound it essentially to himself. Didn't work. We'll try it again. Swinford bounces into Stevenson. Stevenson floats it up and in. Just the second field goal of the game for Shane Stevenson, who's had to work hard inside against some tough Saints defense. Once they get it across half court, Thomas More can run more clock. Jones steps up to the 3-point line and gives it up to Reed Jolly. Jolly drives right side with the shot clock running down, hoists it up off the backboard, no good. Offensive rebound, Casey George. George spins his way inside. He's blocked but fouled by Swinford. And I guess you can call this a successful possession for Thomas More. They ate up more than 45 seconds of time and now have a chance to end it with points. Casey George perfect from the line so far today, and he remains so. Chima Nwosu is back in for Roosevelt. Good to see after he left with an injury about a minute and a half ago, game time. George makes 1 of 2 from the line as Stevenson grabs the rebound. 18-point game. Roosevelt needs to get going in a hurry here. Matt Myers drives. Myers takes it right into Pack, scores, and 1. Roosevelt is going down swinging here. They might be down by double digits late in the contest. They're not backing down. Trailing by 10 at halftime. They've been as close here in the second half as 7 points down. It was a 20-point game just a few minutes ago. Myers makes it a 15-point game as he completes the three-point play. And here's the pressure once again from Roosevelt. Reed Jolly tries to break it. Back to Jones. And Jones gets across half court. Veith bounces down low to George. Good ball movement low to Jolly. Jolly lays it in. Roosevelt looks to act quickly. It's Montez around the screen. Montez penetrates, dishes to Nwosu, knocked away from him out of bounds. Still Roosevelt ball with 22 seconds remaining in this possession. Montez gets it to Stevenson. Stevenson up with the right hand, doesn't get the roll. Rebound Noah Pack, and off the miss, Roosevelt's not able to set up their press. So Thomas More runs some clock. Casey George back at half court as we wind this one under 3 minutes to play in the game. Jones against two defenders, floats it high off the glass and misses. Rebound to Swinford. Swinford pushes ahead to Myers. Myers off into the corner, Stevenson. Back outside, Matt Myers. Lob to the high post, Yuri Swinford spins around Jones and lays it in. 82-67, the whistle blew after the shot. Thought we were gonna get a timeout. A foul was called. I think a technical foul against Thomas More. I think I saw one of the officials put up number 14, so I believe we got a technical foul on Jones. And Montez turns it into a point for Roosevelt on the free throw. So that turns into a three-point play. Ajiboye is in defensively for Stevenson. Jolly working with Jacob Jones across half court. Casey George in the corner. Had a chance to take that shot, but the Saints elect to run more clock here. Pack gives it up to George. Into the post, it's Jolly. Jolly along the baseline, fouled by Myers. Number 7 on Roosevelt, so Reed Jolly gets to go to the free throw line. That is number 4 on Matt Myers. One and one for Jolly. First shot is good. I'll say it again, free throws have really turned around on Thomas More. Yesterday, their poor free throw shooting kept St. Francis in the game. Today, their first half free throw shooting struggled to keep them in front, but they've turned it around in the second half. Although they missed that one, it turned into an offensive rebound. The missed free throw is the best thing that could have happened. They made the front end, though. That's always the biggest thing on those one-and-ones. It was a missed first shot is essentially 2 missed shots as Jolly misses the 3. Rebound grabbed by Nwosu. Under 2 minutes to play, 15-point game. Nwosu outside to Myers. Myers tries to bounce it to Nwosu. It's off the leg of a Saint and out of bounds. 17 to shoot. Ross checks in for Veith. For Thomas More. Here's Nwosu. Nwosu drives off balance with the right hand is good. D. Brown wanted a foul. Didn't get the call. 13-point game. Cross half court, Ross over to George. Casey George along the baseline. Bounces outside to Pack, and Pack pulls it back out to take a few more seconds off the clock. Jacob Jones holds it. Montez playing loose defense. 4 on the shot clock. Jacob Jones crossover, step back jumper is good. Knocks it down from long 2-point range. The final dagger perhaps in this Roosevelt team that tried to hang around. Beautiful drive from Julio Montes there. And Roosevelt has continued to fight, but 13 points in under a minute, I think, is going to be too much for them. Jones across half court, bounces over to Ross. Jones eats some time, 15 on the shot clock. Off into the corner, out of the hands of Noah Pack and out of bounds. Thomas More turns it over. Roosevelt basketball. Probably the last time today they'll get a shot off. Chimenowosu drives inside, passes back out to Swinford. Yuri Swinford for three. Off the mark, rebound Casey George. The shot clock is off. And once Thomas More gets it across half court, they can just dribble out the remaining seconds. Roosevelt backs off defensively, and 85-72 will be the final score in today's game. Thomas More jumped out to a 15-0 lead. Roosevelt actually outscored them the rest of the way. They fought hard, but in the end, Thomas More's excellent start was enough to hold off this plucky Lakers bunch. Credit to the Saints. As Roosevelt took their shot early in the second half, they had a chance to really make this one competitive, and Thomas More just put them away by hitting shot after shot offensively. Their offensive efficiency so far, I shouldn't say so far, it's over now. During this event at St. Francis, their offensive efficiency has just been sensational, and they get to go home happy after they had lost 2 of 3 coming in. They leave Joliet winners of 2 in a row, and now overall 3 consecutive wins for the number 2 team in the country. And after they were licking their wounds a little bit heading into Christmas, they've got to be feeling a lot better about themselves coming out of this event at St. Francis. As for Roosevelt, they head out of here after losing 2 in a row, both double-digit losses for a Lakers team that had won 10 of their first 14. They dropped to 10-6 overall this season with the loss. 12-2 is the victorious record of Thomas More. Good game today. It was competitive for a while before Thomas More put it away late. One more coming up. St. Francis takes on Madonna. Both of these teams looked good yesterday, so it should be a fun second game of our doubleheader today, and we'll have that one for you on the USF Sports Network coming up at 3 o'clock. So stick around. More basketball coming at the top of the hour. Again, our final score here, 85-72. Thomas More takes out Roosevelt. Thomas More wins them both this week, and Roosevelt falls to 0-2 in the event. That'll do it for right now. Terry Bonadonna signing off for the moment. I'll be back at 3 o'clock for the next game. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're not with us again at 3, have a great new year. Enjoy your 2023. Thanks for tuning in.